What's up and welcome back to another video, and today I want to discuss the possibility of Borderlands 4 being cancelled. If you haven't been paying attention to any of the recent Borderlands news and developments, Gearbox has recently, as of 6 days ago, has been put up for sale by the Embracer Group, who, if you didn't know, purchased Gearbox after Borderlands 3 back in 2019. And I know you might be wondering, why is Gearbox up for sale? Well, with the last couple releases being piss poor to say the least, that's a start, but there's no need in harping on those games, as I think I've done plenty of that here recently. Haven't I? But with $1.6 billion that the Embracer Group put down on the heels of Gearbox's biggest release, well, ever, they thought that in a couple years' time they'd at least make back some of that investment, as more companies who put large sums of money into others do. You know, that's part of business. You put money into others, you expect something in return. Whether that's just your money back and breaking even or creating a profit. Well, currently the Embracer Group sits at a loss on their investment into Gearbox, which is your lead contributing factor to why this sale is taking place. And I hate to say it, but they haven't even come close to making their money back. With Wonderlands seemingly underselling, New Tales selling like a pan of burnt bacon, I'd say it's pretty much public knowledge by now that Gearbox is in a very rough spot, and they have been for a lot longer than most casual fans care to admit or realize. But if you didn't know Gearbox was in a bad spot, that's not your fault, as there is a lot of dishonesty inside the Borderlands community. And that dishonesty has definitely steered a lot of fans blind all the way to the bank. If you don't know what I'm speaking on, there's no need in me touching on it here, as that's not our topic at hand today. Nor do I really want any drama sitting here name dropping people who have kinda ruined the franchise that I love. So, it's not a crazy idea to assume that if Gearbox doesn't sell for what they are thinking they're going to sell for, that Borderlands 4 would definitely be affected, as I also have to mention that there was an alleged Saudi fund for $2 billion that fell through for Gearbox. And I don't think it's a crazy assumption that at least part of that $2 billion that the Saudi investors were waving around was going to go towards Borderlands 4. Throwing the idea that Gearbox selling for $2 billion is unrealistic to flat out impossible at this point. With how they've devalued their name and company, I'd be shocked if they got a better deal than the $1.6 billion that the Embracer Group forked out. And keep in mind, that was many, many moons ago. To say after all the struggling years that Gearbox has had that they're still going to be worth the $2 billion that their net worth currently estimates them at would just be flat idiotic. And shit, if they do manage to sell for $2 billion, then come back to this video and tell me how much of a dumbass I am. But no matter who ends up with Gearbox at the end of this sale, whether it's Microsoft, Sony, or whoever the hell thinks they can handle this plague in the gaming industry, I find it very difficult to think that anybody would be willing to pay $2 billion for a company that, as far as we know, they haven't even cracked that $500 million mark in the last 3 years. And that's collectively, mind you. And since they won't show us the Wonderlands numbers, we can't even take that into account. But let's just say for an estimate that Wonderlands made them around $200 million, which more than likely it made them a lot less. That would put Gearbox's estimated revenue a little bit past $500 million. Just barely a third of what the Embracer Group put in several years ago. So while we don't know how that game's sales would impact our data here today, we do know that Gearbox has been struggling for damn near half a decade now. Struggling to figure out something that works in a monetary way. While they love repackaging old games at discounted prices to improve the sales of their newest release, I don't think the Pandora's box was the answer here. You'll know if you've seen any of my videos recently that I've been harping on about a Borderlands 2 remastered. And why not? Why not remaster the second game? Don't you think that would have sold? But no, here we sit with the entire future of my all-time favorite gaming franchise's life up in the air. While more than likely they'll get enough money to continue on with their projects, one of them obviously being Borderlands 4, we'd be dumb to not look at the very bleak side of the future of the franchise. Not only will Gearbox be lucky to get the amount of money they are looking for, as they sit at a net worth over $2 billion, but the odds of another parent company pouring in as much valuable resources into the project as the Embracer Group did are very, very slim. As the profits of Gearbox have failed to reach goals, they've failed to listen to the community feedback as much as they try and say they do. I think they put the earplugs in on us fans a long time ago. And now the entire company is essentially in limbo right now. while we fans just have to sit on our hands and wait and see what Gearbox is going to sell for. The fate of Borderlands 4 is currently unknown, but do I think it will be canceled? No. I think that Gearbox will sell for enough to get them back on their feet, and hell, maybe with the rough spot they're in, it's going to limit the budget. And figuring my favorite games in the franchise were built on a lot smaller peanuts, that doesn't really sound like a bad idea to me. But the odds of the original plans of the game coming to surface have now been diced in half. As $2 billion, which, like I said, I assume was the Borderlands 4 budget, that's a lot of fucking money. And let's say they do get that money that they're looking for. Well, that's fine. Then we get Borderlands 4, the original product at hand. But hey, just for the sake of the argument, let's say they only get half of what they're looking for. Can they still make Borderlands 4 with $1 billion? Well, figuring they made the greatest game of all time with only 30 to 35 million, definitely. No matter what, they'll come up with the money to make BL4. But that money they're looking for is definitely extending beyond just production of the game. You have to think, promotion and production are also not cheap. There are so many examples of expenses outside of just producing the product that Gearbox is having to work through, as well as any other game studio, especially in the trying times of 2023. Which is why it worries me that they're now up for sale after shadow dropping the Borderlands collection and promoting the ever-living hell out of it. It definitely was some sort of corporate strategy to try and get the stats looking less like a nightmare, and to try and make them look more like you're stuck in a dream with your ex-girlfriend. Sure, it may have had its ups and downs, but at least it ended off with a bang. Right? So whether the Pandora's box was the bang to try and resolve this dumpster fire that Gearbox is currently in, or just a plea to get some new fans into the Borderlands goodness at a discounted price, it all looks and sounds pretty terrible to me. Whether you look at it on paper, or if you listen to it audibly through this video, Gearbox is failing. And if you don't see that, get yourself some new glasses or quit lying to yourself. While this is quite the opposite of what I wanted to talk about today, I thought it needed to be discussed. The cancellation of Borderlands 4 may not be likely, but I'd be stupid to say it isn't a possibility. So what do you think about the possibility of Borderlands 4 being canceled after the recent news that Gearbox is up for sale? Do you think it'll be canceled? And that's really all I've got for you guys today. I hope y'all did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to smash a like on it and subscribe if you guys are new. Also, go give me a follow on Twitter. I'm trying to grow my Twitter a little bit, or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But more importantly, please leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love replying to you guys as well as reading your different theories and reactions to the videos. Do you think we're still going to get Borderlands 4? I would like to hope so, but you can't always be 100% optimistic. We got to look at the numbers, and the odds here are not looking good. But more than likely, Gearbox will be purchased for enough money to complete their projects. I didn't make this video to get you guys worried or to try and clickbait you to think that the game was canceled. I just wanted you to know that there is a possibility that it could be. And while I pray and hope that doesn't happen, hell, maybe it'll keep them from messing shit up even further. But no, in all seriousness, I really want Borderlands 4, even though the series sits in a really rough spot. And let's just hope that Gearbox falls into good hands, man, because I think we're all a little worried about that as well. Either way, let's hope the fourth installment of my favorite franchise, and more than likely yours if you made it this far into the video, is still alive. And with that, I don't really have much more to say. I love you all to death. I thank you for stopping by and listening to me ramble here for however the hell long this video ends up being. I want you to stay safe and take care out there. And with that, I will see you all in the next one.